Hello, Mr. Wade Carmichael. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. I really want to thank you for chatting with me this weekend, this Veteran Day weekend. Usually, I work with high performing women, and I always say that, I work with a few awesome men. So I thank you for being one of those awesome men today. So, are you
Well,
ready?
thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Great.
I am, and thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you for taking this time out this weekend to do this. And I'm for sure that the audience is going to appreciate it as well. So, Wade, to get started, I'd like for you to share with everyone, what was it that you were doing before you joined the military? What did life look like for you?
So life just before the military. At one point, I was obviously I went to college, and after college, I worked at a company called World Trade Center. At the World Trade Center, I'm sorry, and that was at a company called Arcus Dataport. And in that company, what we did was we dealt with archive storage of data information for companies in the Wall Street area and the financial district. That was my first job out of college. I did that I think until about 1995-ish, somewhere along that line, and it was a very rewarding job. The location was great. I had several college colleagues that worked in the area, so we would get together for lunch on a few occasions. But primarily, that job, I was a manager, supervisor, and in that role and capacity, I ensured that companies could actually test from those sites, or sometimes they would test from our sites, and we would take their data from different locations as a backup in case there was some type of disaster, man-made or otherwise, in that area, so that we can help them get back online as quickly as possible.
Wow, that sounds kind of like cybersecurity 25 years ago, 26 years ago. Wow. And right now, it's like everybody's data has been breached. Yeah.
Yes. And I was actually there during the first attempt at taking down the Trade Center buildings, unfortunately. But on that particular day, I actually was not there that particular day. I was on a business trip and had jet lag, so I missed all of that activity on that particular day. But in true fashion, we were able to get a lot of companies back online during that period in that disaster.
Wow. Thank God for jet lag that you weren't there that day, but you were available to be able to support the business owners like they needed to be. Wow. So
Yes.
Wade, I remember talking to you once and you spoke so passionately about the military. And that was one of the reasons that I wanted to chat with you to allow others to hear you speak so passionately about the military as well. So if you don't mind, can you share your tenure with us, your military tenure with us, what that was like, what you did, all that you can share?
Sure. So I had pretty much a 30-year background in the military. Wonderful experiences. I started out as a second lieutenant. I was commissioned from Seton Hall University, and went on, did a little bit of military training for a little bit, and I actually got commissioned prior to getting my bachelor's degree. That's a program that they pretty much don't have, to my knowledge, anymore. So, but as a requirement, you basically have to graduate and then get commission or commission shortly after. But I had like a 2 years wait before I actually graduated. So after that, I actually went into the military, spent a lot of time down at Fort Dix, New Jersey, and a few other places where in that role, I was executive officer. In that role and capacity, what I did was I was working with a lot of basic trainees. And so I helped to develop their training plan, their training schedule. I was the company commander's right-hand man, and did a lot of training in that area. Occasionally did some additional training down at Fort Jackson, South Carolina as well. Military is one big fraternity or sorority. You meet so many very, very influential people. You learn a little bit about yourself. You learn about other people that you may never had otherwise come into contact with. It really is a melting pot and a display of what America really is, and is a lot of teamwork, a lot of camaraderie. I had some really good NCOs coming up through the chain. They taught me what it meant to be an effective leader. I had some great officers as well that I watched. Some took me under their wings. My experiences were really great and very rewarding. I got a lot of opportunities basically to excel and prove my worth in the military. I did get out for a little while because as I started to climb the ladder, the military, there's a lot of politics in the military, and it does become somewhat political as you go up the chain. And so I just kind of needed a break for a little bit. And so when I came back in the military, I basically came back and I started doing, well, let me go back. I was an infantry officer initially. I also, as a secondary position, was what was called the NBC officer, which is a nuclear, biological, chemical warfare officer. There's a new acronym now, CBRN. And that basically has the same components, but they've added, I believe, radiological to that, and as well as explosives. But it's been a great life. I did it for about 30 years. Eventually, I wound up going through the civil affairs qualification course through Special Operations Forces down at Fort Bragg. Some of the places that I've been to, I deployed under Operation Noble Eagle, which was for Homeland Security after 9/11. I did several tours in Iraq under the global war on terror, as well as Afghanistan. I've deployed to Germany. I've been to several countries in Africa, and I've been to many other countries in Europe as well. In those roles and capacities, I've worked as an operations officer, basically ensuring that everything is on point. That my command at the time, we made sure one of the roles, for example, at Fort Bragg was early in the war, was making sure that we mobilized and deployed soldiers, particularly reserve soldiers that were coming in on the CA, civil affairs, as well as psychological operations side, as well as active duty as well. So that was one of several roles that I had.
Wow. So Wade, it sounds like that you anchored such a gratifying career in the military. What I did not know was that you took a break and that you came back in, and how awesome is that? With such a gratifying career in the military, I saw that you was able to balance a family. So I'm like, what a great accomplishment that was.
Yeah.
So now I would assume that, I don't know if it's safe to say, but I would assume to say that your new work now is family. So is that true?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, family has always been at the forefront of everything that I do and live for. Priority is family, 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 and family again. So you know, I grew up with both parents until my dad died about 20 years ago. You know, thankfully, I still have mom here with us and everything. And actually, she's here visiting until Thanksgiving. So she's going to eat some of that turkey that you know, I or the wife cook. We haven't decided who's doing that yet.
Who's doing that?
But yeah, family is very important to me. It is everything that I live for, work for, and strive for. And with that, I mean, there's a certain amount of loyalty that we put in, and I think that all families should strive for. Of course, each family has its own dynamics that they work through and work for. But for me, family is very important. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was family health. That's making sure that everybody in the family is healthy, that they're getting what they deserve and need mentally, that they have the support that they need to feel like they can achieve anything that they set their minds to. So for me, I try to make sure that I'm there for my kids. I try to make sure that I'm there for my spouse. And I try to make sure that I'm there for other family members, nephews, nieces as well. And one of the things that I take a lot of pride in is just trying to set an example for everybody, especially the younger generations, helping them understand what a standard is, helping them understand that there is consequences for their actions when they do something. And that could be a positive thing or a negative thing. And I know a lot of times we think consequences is always negative. It's not always negative. You know, when you reward somebody for doing something really good, whether it's, hey, you got great grades at school, or, you know, you did something that you didn't think that you could do. Those are great examples of consequences from a positive perspective.
I like that. I like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I said before, just trying to make sure that their needs are tended to, that there's trust. You know, they know that if dad says something that, or promises them something, that's what dad is going to do. There's no, well, dad said this, but maybe he might not be able to come through. He might not be able to go to my game today. And you know, that's something that I've never made a promise to my kids that I couldn't do for them. And if, because of circumstances out of my control, I let them know as soon as possible that, hey, you know, yeah, I know we said we're going to do this, or I'm going to do that, but we may not be able to do it this week, but next week. So it just may be a delay and not an outright, hey, we can't do this, or I'm not going to do something.
See, that's great, Mr. Carmichael. That is so good to hear. It really sounds like, hey, you're running for Father of the Year. I love that legacy plan that you have set out there when it comes to your family and speaking of your children and rewards and consequences. And I like that word that you said, standard. I almost interrupted you to ask, what did you mean by standard? But you know, you told us, you told us. Again, I love hearing you talk about you and your children. I wanted to know if you could expand a little more when it comes to your family and talk to us about marriage and the wife and loyalty and accountability. Can you share some of that with us?
Sure. So, you know, we all live for, what do we leave behind? What is your legacy? And I think anybody who is about something wants to leave a legacy behind. Your children are your greatest asset. They are your biggest legacy. So if the hope is that if you give them a good foundation, if you show them what a successful marriage is supposed to look like, if you show them what a successful partnership is supposed to look like, they can emulate that. They know what the standard is. They know that, hey, because in some families they don't have that. You know, there may be abuse, there may be neglect, there may be violence in some families, and you know, you have to learn. I mean, you know, when you're with someone for 10, 20, 30 years, or even a year, you're not going to always get along with your significant other. You may have a disagreement. It could be religion. It could be bills. It could be money. It could be, you know, who's going to take the kids, X, Y, or Z. It can be anything. But when you show kids how you deal with that, how you compromise, how you just talk to each other, I think that's so important, not only in a relationship, but in a marriage, obviously, but also what kids see and how they develop. So when they themselves have relationships or get married, then they know what right looks like.
I
They
like
know
that. They know what right looks like. Yeah, I like that.
Yep. And for me, that's again very important. And it just goes back to being a role model. And if you are a positive role model, that's what your kids hopefully will emulate. If not, then they will emulate the bad qualities as well. So we got to be careful as parents not to display those bad qualities. And if there is some disagreement or serious discord, you know, I know in our family we have those conversations behind closed doors, when we're not on the same sheet of music, and then we talk through and try and see each other's points on what's going on, and how we can help each other see the other person's point. And sometimes you just have to compromise. And you know, today I might compromise, tomorrow she might compromise, and you know, at the end of the day, it's still one big happy family.
At the end of the day, you get to continue to be a big happy family.
Mm-hmm.
So, Wade, man, you spoke so passionately about your family. I really like that. So many people are going to be able to glean so much from that. I would like it if maybe we could talk about anchoring the significance of community. Community is so important. I like to speak and talk about first the individual, then the family, and then the community at large. So for the veteran community, what does community care look like, you know, from your perspective?
Mm-hmm. So as a veteran, and today is Veterans Day, I'm not going to do it this year, only because I've had some health issues myself that I'm still kind of recovering from. But one of the things that I've done in the community is I've gone to veteran hospitals, VA hospitals, and sat with veterans and just talked to them. Sometimes they don't have family members either alive or come to see them as often as they should. We let them know that, hey, obviously we appreciate the service that they did, the sacrifices that they've made, and we want to recognize them for everything that they've done while in the military, and that's very important. Sometimes one of the organizations that I'm associated with is Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and that is a fraternity, obviously, founded at Howard University. And we'll actually be celebrating Founders Day on November 17th of this year. And so what we do, we go out to the community, we try and get the community of age folks that are able to vote. There's a lot of folks that don't realize the sacrifices that was made to give them those opportunities to be able to vote and have a say in who shapes America, who shapes our politics, not only at the national level, but also at the local levels as well. So those are just some of the ways in which I get involved. The last couple of years, I've actually this last election year, I actually got 5 individuals to register to vote, including my son and one of my daughters, to be able to vote. So that was a great opportunity to see them actually cast their vote, to play a role in the future of America. And I think it's very important, for us as adults to teach them what it means and what their role is in terms of civic duty, just giving back to the communities as well in any way we can. I have taken my children on food drives and food distribution centers. We have done Feed the Homeless programs, for example, right downtown in Fayetteville area. So by helping people that are either less fortunate, at risk, or maybe just down on their luck at that time is very helpful. It giving a lending hand and a helping hand, not sympathy, not empathy, but just really helping people is important. That can make the difference of whether someone continues to carry on until they can get to a better place, or whether they feel hopeless and despair. And those are things that are real for veterans in our community. For a brag, I mean, we're home of the airborne home of the airborne and special operations forces. So we have a huge presence of military veterans, retirees, and then of course we have the college kids here as well. So if we can set positive examples within the community, I think that we can certainly improve our communities, not just for our veterans, but also for the locals as well.
Wow, Wade. So you've talked to us about community care through civic responsibilities as an individual, with your fraternity, as a family man, getting individuals out to vote, taking your family, going to feed the homeless, taking care of those individuals. So you've anchored for us, your military experience, you've anchored family, you've anchored community, the significance of all of that. I just want to throw something at you here because legacy is so important to me. I want you to imagine the way that it is maybe 2060 and your family is throwing you a big celebration. You would be 75, 80, 90 in 2060. So, let's say you're having a big
I hope I live to
celebration.
be like that.
Having a big celebration, somewhat like the King from Coming to America. And three people come up to speak about you. I want you to share with us, who are those three people and what is it that they would share about you?
Well, so I would hope that I would hope that at least one. Well, actually, I would hope that both would be my sons. I would like for them to speak about the example that I displayed to them of manhood and what it means to be a man, what it means to be a father, what it means to give back to the community, what it means to be a friend. Being a friend, wanting a friend, you have to be a friend to have friends. And that's something that a lot of folks don't understand, because not everybody is your friend. They may say they're your friend, but not everybody's your friend. And when you commit to being someone's friend, you have their back through the ups and downs. You reach out, you see how they're doing. If you can help them in any way, that's what you do. You never talk ill about a friend. And I think that they have seen all of those things displayed in me on a positive note. You know, they've seen my fraternal brothers and how we bond, how we get along, how we look out for each other, how we just fellowship. So they've seen that. They know my heart. They know my commitment. They know the standards that I've set for them to be not only good local citizens, but good men in general. The other, I would like probably my spouse to be able to say how my union with her really helped shape the dynamics of our family. That I led from the front. You know, as we say in the military, I led from the front. I was the person that kept the family together. I was there not only for the kids, but her. I was there for kids that were not our biological kids, so that others that were biological could see what it means to help others, to open your heart, to open your doors, to help other people. And that just goes back to one of those old saying where, you know, it takes a village to raise a child, and it really does, because sometimes in certain situations, not all families have all of the components to be successful, or to care for their children the way that they really should. And sometimes it's not because they're not trying. It's not because they don't want to. It's just sometimes it's the circumstances that they find themselves in. It could be bad choices. It could be drugs. It could be layoffs. So you never know what other people are going through. And, you know, I like for them to talk about the fact of how, you know, I stepped up to help others, to relieve them of those burdens, to let them be the children that they should be, to give them the opportunity to have greater opportunities that will be more successful for them later in life, whether providing a safe haven, providing mentorship, being a dad, in the absence of a dad or a father or a father figure. So those are the things that I think that they would talk about, and those are the things that I would probably be a little closer to the front row to listen. I'm sure my hearing might be a little hard of hearing by then at that age, but you know, as long as I get the gist of them saying any of those things, I would be happy, I would be proud, and I will have known that I did lead a fulfilling and a fulfilled life.
Wait, I love that. I really do. I love that. What a legacy.
Thank you.
Because those are the experiences that you are developing and creating right here, right now. Wow, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard you say that you would love for your wife to speak of the union that you all are displaying for. You said not only your
Mm-hmm.
children, but you said children that were not, you know, biological your children, but they're your children as well.
Yes.
And then I heard so much about
Absolutely.
you know, what those families, what those children probably were going through. So would it be safe to say that you guys are foster parents, you adopt children? Where are the other children coming from? If I'm not minding your business.
Oh, no, it's okay. I don't mind discussing that. It's a reality of the things that we stand for and who we are. So as I talked about a little earlier, you know, we are heavily involved in our community. And so in doing so, we saw a need for parents, for safe homes, and for opportunities to open our doors to children that were placed in foster care for various reasons. You know, for various reasons. I mean, you can think of several, and several I mentioned, whether it's drugs or inability to safeguard children or take care of the children. And you know, sometimes children are removed on a temporary basis. The ultimate objective is to reunite families, biological families, and the children together. That's a win-win situation. But sometimes situations don't play out that way, and in those cases, children are placed long-term with foster parents like myself and my spouse. Ideally, you want, and it could be a single person, as long as they are of age 18 and they can take care of themselves, and they have the means to take care of someone else. Because sometimes you may have a brother or sister taking care of a younger sibling. Those situations happen as well. There are a lot of kids in need of homes. Sometimes, you know, during the holidays, that seems to be the biggest push where children actually go into foster care. That seems to be a time and a period where there's a lot of stress in families that are already having difficulty coping, paying bills, just making ends meet. You know, there may be domestic violence, whatever have you. So we agreed, and we've been doing this about 14 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've been doing this for a while, opening up our homes to children, you know, to either mentor them, keep them safe, help them as they transition either into a long-term relationship, adoption, or aging out of foster care. So we've had pretty much every gamut of those situations happen. I grew up in New York, so I'm a New Yorker. I'm a native New Yorker.
City
I've
guy.
basically lived in, yeah, I've lived in every borough. I'm a New York City New Yorker, not an upstate New Yorker. So I've lived in every borough except for Staten Island. And in growing up, my family, so this is something that was instilled in me by my parents. My parents opened their doors to kids that were less fortunate than us, that had abuse in the family, where parents could not feed their kids. And so I learned how to take care of others through watching my parents and my older sister do this. And I was saying, hey, when I get older, and if I'm able to, I think this is something that I want to do. And I hope that that legacy continues after me, so that my children will open the doors to others that may not be in a as good of a position as you would like for them to be in. And if they can't do it through fostering, then they can do something else through community care, whether it's feeding the homeless, going to a women's shelter and helping women and just being an example, donating their time. Community service is a big priority for me. It speaks volumes of our society based on how we treat the people that are less fortunate than ourselves. If we can take care of them until they can get back on their feet or in a position where they can take care of themselves, I think that only makes Americans a greater and a greater place to be and live.
Americans in America. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What a legacy. You have the military. What a gratifying career. Seems like
Mm-hmm.
community and family. I thought it was your new work, but it has been your work all along. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I've been doing this for a while, and I one of the things that I talk to the kids about, and I don't think we talk about it enough, also is bullying. Growing up, I was always a little taller, a little bit bigger than some of my classmates, but anytime I saw someone bullying another student, I always stepped in. Hey, what's going on? Why are you doing this? Leave them alone. And I was a fighter back then too. So it's like, hey, if you want to fight somebody, pick on somebody, pick on
Here I
me.
am. Yeah.
And my expectation was, okay, no, they're not gonna try and bother me. But you get that one person out of 10 that they just don't care, and they don't want to lose faith amongst other people. So they will stand up, and then you just kind of settle it as children do. But then you wind up being friends at the end of the day, or you have a mutual respect. We don't see that nowadays. Now, everybody brings a gun or a knife for a fight. It is very different. I think kids are just afraid to get a good old fashioned butt whipping nowadays, so they got to bring a gun to a fist fight. But it's unfortunate that kids, some kids in our community feel that way. And a lot of times it's no hope. Bullies bully because they themselves have been bullied. And when we take bullying out of our schools, when we take bullying out of what's happening in our homes and make the environment safer, I think we'll see crime go down. I think we'll see kids feeling much better about themselves. I think we'll see less adults feeling that they have to bully other people to to move up in this world.
Wow.
And feel better about themselves. And so that's something else I wanted to just kind of throw out there, because to me, it's all related.
It is all intertwined. And I love how you ended up here talking about, safety of the children. And I'm going to wrap it up going back to safety of society, which is what the military does. So for my final question for you, Wade, is you shared so much with us today. What excellent advice or words would you have for individuals who are in the military and they're considering, coming out, they're considering their transition, they're considering becoming civilians? What is it that you have to share with these individuals?
Well, the first thing, I mean, just like anything that you do in the military, you prepare for your next battle. You prepare for your next mission. And transitioning out of the military, well, that's another mission. So you have to make sure you do your diligence to know what all that entails. You have to set yourself up for success before you get out the military. Start looking at what are the opportunities that's out there that you may want to consider. Think about your background, talk to people in those fields. Some folks retire and they never go back in the workforce, and that's fine too. But if you are wanting to go into corporate America or any other field, do your due diligence to know the company, update your resumes, talk to people in those fields, let other people look at your resume, go to resume workshops. They have them on most military installations. They have them at most libraries nowadays. And for those folks that are computer literate and, they have them on, you can Google a lot of this information now as well. A lot of the units have days designed to talk to folks that are retiring soon. But the main thing I would say is have a plan. Know your worth. And be able to translate that to what you can do in a civilian job, whether it's state, federal, city, corporate, whatever it is. Know your worth. Know what the equivalent of that is of what you did in the military. Sometimes it's a little difficult to do that, but there's a lot of people out there that can help you translate what you did in the military to civilian terminology so that future employers can say, oh, okay, yep, I get it. This is what you did. If you're in the military, by design, you are considered a leader by design, regardless of rank, because you have stepped in where others have not. Our military to date consists probably about 1% of our population, and in some cases, a little less than that. So you have done something that the other 99% of our citizens have not done. And that is, you have sworn to defend the Constitution of America against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And that takes a lot of leadership. That takes a lot of courage. It takes some vulnerability. It takes a whole lot of sacrifice to learn what it means to even be in the military, to learn what it means to be a soldier, to learn and experience going overseas in a foreign country where people may or may not like you, to do the work of the United States of America. And hopefully you come home safe and well, and you're able to function. And if there's some issues, you use that same courage to get help that you may need. Don't be afraid of asking for help. Help is very important before you transition and after you transition. There are too many of my brothers and sisters that have served, whether active duty or reserves, that may be in despair because maybe they got out and the jobs aren't there that they thought they were going to be, or maybe they're still suffering from PTSD, or maybe there's a failed marriage. Different things happen in life as we transition. But the most important thing is to be prepared, be alert, and be ready.
Mr. Wade Carmichael, I thank you. You have shared with us this Veterans Day weekend, and so many are going to be able to glean so much from our chat, from this conversation. I thank you. Hey, folks, if you want to find Mr. Wade Carmichael, check him out on social media. He's out there. I don't know if he's going to be your friend, but he's out there. Mr. Wade Carmichael. Thank you. Mr. Wade, do you have anything else you'd like to share with us?
Yes, just that I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and all your followers. This is a wonderful opportunity. I appreciate the time. Again, thank you. It's been a pleasure for me.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.